Hello, welcome to Skull RPG Podcast. My name's Dwight Skull.
My name's Jacob Skull.
And today we're going to teach you how to tell your story.
So Dwight, one of the things that we play a lot of is D&D, and the problem I have with D&D is, and in the name, you're fighting a dragon in a dungeon. It gets very monotonous. How would you add some variety to that so it's not as monotonous?
Yeah, sure. And to be fair, very few people like to have the exact same food every single day. And so if all you're doing is a dungeon crawl, and you're dungeon crawling, and then you're dungeon crawling, and then guess what? We're going to dungeon crawl some more.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine how boring that would be for your players, and probably also for you as well. So let's just look at a great example. So I actually, rip on Harry Potter both ways in this podcast quite a bit. I'm a big fan, in case you haven't figured it out. We've gone to Orlando twice, love what they've done there. But the thing that I want to talk about is the first book. And my God, it's been out for, it's been out for more than 20 years now. So
yeah, more than 20 years.
And I think the movie's been out for 20 years. So in the first book, at the very end, Harry has to go stop somebody from doing something, okay? He doesn't yet know that it's actually the guy that tried to kill him when he was a baby and killed his parents, but he does know that there's a professor trying to get at the philosopher or the sorcerer's stone, depending on which side of the Atlantic you're on. So, if you look at it and you break it down what they have to do, here's what happens. So, the first thing is they have a locked door, which honestly, I don't even know why they bothered to lock doors in Harry Potter, because every single person at the age of 12 learns a spell to unlock every door in every certain situation ever. So yeah. Everybody has the knock spell. Everybody, literally everybody has the knock spell. So why even bother locking a door? Don't even lock the door to go to the bathroom. Everybody has a knock spell. It's fine. Then there's a guard dog there, a 3-headed dog, not named Cerberus, named Fluffy, actually, and they don't have to do anything in that case, because when they open it up, there's already this musical box sitting there, because the professor that's doing this has already figured out, using a clue type of method, they figured out that the dog is easily put to sleep by music, so they have this magical music box playing. Now, of course, because of tension and things, which is a really good thing to look at as a game master.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, watching movies as if you were going to play it as a game is a good way to go. So they get there, the dog's asleep, everything's cool, and the next thing that happens is the music stops playing. And then they kind of realize the music, they make listen checks. You don't hear anything. So what? No. You don't hear the music anymore. Oh, God. Dog's awake, dog's snarling, they jump through the hole at his feet, and they don't know where they're going. Cool. First scene. Second scene. They fall for what looks like, a couple minutes. It's not even really that long. They fall pretty quickly and land softly on this huge plant. This plant is a specific plant called Devil's Snare. They'd seen it before, and it's kind of like a Chinese finger trap. So the harder you pull on it, the worse it gets until it actually kills you. So one of the members of the party makes their intelligence check and remembers this from not falling asleep in class. And they then are able to just tell the others just to stop struggling. They all fall through. That's done. So what we have is we have a spell, and we have a knowledge check. So that's two different things. Let's keep moving. Then they go to this other room, and there is a broomstick which flies, if you aren't familiar, and there are these flying keys. And then you realize that you have to be able to jump on the broomstick, and as soon as you jump on the broomstick, the keys start to attack you. And you're looking for the key that has a busted wing. There's like a clue, like a riddle on the wall or something that tells you kind of what to do, which is kind of funny. Like, if you didn't want anybody to actually get into this, why would you leave a riddle on? But, okay, fine. So, point is, there's a riddle on the wall. Discern it. Okay, got it. Jump on the broom. Now you're doing speed checks, ride checks, acrobatic checks, dex checks, whatever it looks like. All these checks. And it's basically like it's a chase scene.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to find the one key that's broken, but in the meantime, you have a bunch of keys coming at you, and
it's flying away from you.
And they're razor sharp too. So like there's spots where he's actually getting injured because he's failing a couple of rolls and he's getting cut up. You grab the key, and everything's still chasing you. So he ends up throwing the key to somebody to get it in the door. He then comes flying through. They shut the door, and like the keys all, embed themselves in the door. So there's your chase scene. You have Wizard's Chess. Wizard's Chess is kind of a cool game. It's basically like three-dimensional chess and battle chess, if you've ever played that, except in real life. Cool. But now you have a chess game, and this actually could be done. You could have a game within a game. You can make up a game. You could use a game from like The Witcher. You could use like a Gwent game or their dice game. You could use poker. You could do a blackjack. You could do chess. You could do Go. I mean, I would just choose something that every one of your players could get involved in helping that isn't going to take forever, because you don't want to do like, hey, I showed up to do D&D. We played 3 hours of chess. I don't even know why I showed up. So, but you can do a game within a game. Just make sure it's a quick kind of game. Or you could just give them a physical puzzle to solve as well. You can go online and look for things like Caesar ciphers or Mason ciphers, also known as a pigpen cipher. There's all these ciphers online, and you can literally hand them something kind of physical, give them some clues to figure out what's going on, and then they can quickly do that. I would suggest something that doesn't take more than like maybe 10 minutes, and they have a really good idea of how to fix it, like how to solve it. And then based on if they're totally lost, you could do based on any kind of knowledge checks or intelligence rolls, you could give them hints if they're totally lost. So, cool. Next thing. Then there's these poisonous potions. And again, you could use a system like gathering some sort of clues so that the players can solve this as opposed to having to rely on a memory again. So you could have some sort of like, again, you could have like a clue system or like a hidden thing on the wall that just kind of says some riddle, something along those lines. And if they could figure things out, so stay away from the potion that a dragon who can breathe acid would be. So you like look at it and like, oh, well, that dragon is XYZ color. This potion's that color. That's not what we want to do. Or you could even do a thing where they have to actually figure out the formula, right? 3 drops of this per 1 drop of this per 2 drops of the other one. They do the formula, and that's enough for them to, maybe they drink it or they throw it at the door or something like that, and that allows them to get through. Next. The last thing that they had there was the Mirror of Erised. Mirror of Erised is really just kind of simple. It's anything you want will show up in the Mirror of Erised. So if you want to be rich and powerful, that's what you'd see. If you want to see your missing loved ones because they've all passed away, that's what you would see. Well, she kind of pulled a Deus Ex Machina here. That's my one problem with Harry Potter, plus a lot of sometimes some Doctor Who episodes, because they like to pull this Deus Ex Machina. If you don't know what a Deus Ex Machina is, it means God of the Machine. And it's quite simply the Greeks in their plays back in like the 300s, 200s, 100s BCE, a really long time ago, would just wrap the story up so high that only a god,
that only somebody who is Zeus,
right,
with a mask, would be hoisted over the stage with a giant wooden crane. Hence, God from the Machine, because it's God from the Machine, the crane.
And then he would solve, sometimes they had a goddess, but for the most part, the god, would solve all of the problems and set the world right. So in this regard, she used the Mirror of Erised as the same thing, where the person who didn't want to see the Philosopher's Stone somehow arrived with this Philosopher's Stone literally in their pocket. And that's the end of that. Cool. So it's kind of a logic, fun thing there. So if you look at that, you had a use of magic, you had a intelligence or a knowledge roll, you had a chase scene, you had a game within a game, and you had a clue-like system to determine what they should do with it, and then you had some sort of, that last one was kind of a gimme. So let me explain how you would do this in your game. So let's say that let's just make it right up off the cuff here, just so you're aware. So if I'm stalling, it's because I'm actually thinking. So here's what I would do. So let's say you have a game where your players need to get into a dungeon. Perfect. So they need to get into a dungeon and do a rescue. So the first thing we're doing is a rescue, but it looks like a dungeon. So now it's like a typical dungeon crawl. And this is where your problem is, right? All you do is dungeon crawls. So let's just change up your dungeon crawl a little bit. So instead of it being a full dungeon, it's a castle. So similar, but not the same. When they get there, they've hopefully been able to do some sort of knowledges to know how many guards there are and that sort of thing. So, 2 guards at the front gate. Do you fight the guards? Do you go around the guards? Do you knock out the guards? Do you use sleep or some other magical spell on the guards? Right? That's a thing. Cool. The guards have a key to a door that lets you in. Maybe they don't have a key and you got to use your thieving skills to unlock the door, or your knock spell, again, right, to unlock the door. The door itself is trapped, right? Some sort of trap. I would just do like a poison needle trap, a little bit of suspense. And I would do it so that they can't just, it's not like you have a lot of time. The whole thing I would put on here is just the concept of that you can't stop moving. So what I would say is you would do a thing where you're going to have 30 rounds to get in and get out. And it all starts as soon as you decide to do something with those guards, because that's what you know. It's going to take about 30 rounds for the next set of guards that are going to walk through and not see the 2 guards at their post, and they're going to raise the alarm. So you need to be in and out in 30 rounds or face consequences. So, small fight. You want to do it quick because you only got 30 rounds. And every round you start ticking it down as the DM on a D100 die, right? 2 D10s if you don't know what that means. And then after that, they got to navigate the labyrinth. So hopefully they had some sort of person giving them a map or something along those lines. If not, they might need to split the party or some sort of thing like that, but have a little minor maze, right? Not a huge maze, nothing big, but enough of a maze that they're not exactly sure, do they go left at this corridor or right? Exactly where is the prisoner held? And this doesn't have to be like a maze. Like, don't think hedge maze in the Shining here. Just think... like a hospital corridor, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how many, there's 14 hallways. Which one is he down? Which one is she down?
If you look at any dungeon map, that's kind of how all dungeons are based on. Is like there's winding corridors that lead to each other or not.
Exactly. And so then at the end of the day, what you do is they all run through that. They got to then open the lock up. Then the prisoner doesn't have enough strength to walk out on their own. So it's going to take 2 people to help that prisoner walk, right? Help you get the person out. You've lost 2 people to do anything else. And then what you do is you have maybe a couple of surprise guards, maybe a trap, and then it looks like not necessarily a chase scene, but you're racing against the clock, and you're having to overcome traps, overcome guards. And then what I would do with it is when you're getting close to the exit, if they're making good time, I would have it so that the main gate has now been locked. Like somebody knew they were there, and that 30 rounds was kind of a misnomer, and they've locked them in.
You don't want it to be a cakewalk. You want it to be like they got by the skin of their teeth, and they talk about this of how they almost got stopped.
Exactly. And so what you keep doing then is you just keep doing that over and over and over again. So you're mixing up things around, you're mixing up the entire game. So it's not just dungeon crawl, kill monsters, get out. Now it's dungeon crawl, can't kill a monster, let's sneak past him, let's incapacitate him, or let's kill him, but we're running out of time. Now we have our hostage, we have the person we came to rescue. They're slowing us down. And then we got to get out. And maybe you can't get out the same way you got in. Maybe that's one of the stipulations, right? As soon as you guys get in, you realize we can't get out the same way. And so then what you can do is near the end, you can have this kind of, they can't stop moving whatsoever because they could be hearing guards going down and checking all the rows, and they know that they need to get out before they get totally caught because there's just too many people to fight specifically with this injured person. So that gives you an idea of how to like change up and mix and match and do anything you need to do.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what I would do to mix up good adventures, and I would look at any of the other adventures that we've talked about and think about how you can just start moving, into a chase scene, out of a breaking and entering type of a game, through then having to do a sabotage at the end of the chase scene to then have to run out before the ticking time bomb goes off or whatever you guys were doing.
Hey, thanks for listening.
And for more resources, please go to skullrpg.com.